Peace to everybody, back with another video. This is about Michael Jackson was mentally ill. Elton John claims in his memoir. And as you can see here in the screenshot is Michael Jackson and Elton John. Although singer-songwriter Elton John was friends with the late pop icon Michael Jackson, he has made some startling revelations about the latter, including that he was mentally ill in his memoir titled Me. Alright, so Elton John, he's a singer-songwriter. He was friends with Michael Jackson. He has made some startling revelations about the latter, including that he was mentally ill, and this was in Elton John's memoir titled Me. I've known Michael since he was 13 or 14. He was just the most adorable kid you could imagine. But at some point in the intervening years, he started sequestering himself away from the world and away from reality, the way Elvis Presley did. John wrote in an excerpt from Me. So, Elton John has known Michael since he was 13 or 14 years old. That's how long he's known Michael. To Elton John, he was just the most adorable kid you could imagine. He also goes on to say, but at some point in the intervening years, he started sequestering himself away from the world. In other words, he didn't want to deal with the world no more, and away from reality the way Elvis Presley did. And I don't know why we're discussing Elvis Presley, because he has nothing to do with this story. This is what John wrote in an excerpt from Me. John added that every time he came across the singer, he would think that Jackson had totally lost his marbles. So he's trying to say that that Michael Jackson has totally lost his marbles. I find that hard to believe, but what Elton John has wrote in his memoir, I don't know. I would need to see that evidence somewhere. I don't mean that in a light-hearted way. He was genuinely mentally ill, a disturbing person to be around. He added, writing that it was incredibly sad. So Elton John had wrote this memoir. He said that it was incredibly sad. He says that he was generally mentally ill, a disturbing person to be around. In other words, Michael Jackson would have problems with people being around him. But even though it may not be true, but then again, who knows? We were not there. But Elton John also said, I don't mean that in a light-hearted way. Penning his memoir, John recalled the time of a dinner party thrown by him and Jackson as his invitee, who would eat anything and even dismissed himself from the table. Later, the pop icon was found with the housekeeper and her 11-year-old kid. So Elton John has recalled the time of a dinner party, and it was thrown by him and Jackson as the invitee. So Michael Jackson was invited to dinner. He would eat anything and even dismissed himself from the table. So that's what Michael Jackson did. He would eat and then dismiss himself. Later, the popcorn was found with the housekeeper and her 11-year-old kid. So Michael Jackson was found with the maid, or I should say the housekeeper and her 11-year-old kid, but we don't know if it's a boy or a girl, so who knows. For whatever reason, he couldn't seem to cope with an adult company at all, John wrote in his memoir. So Michael Jackson couldn't cope with adult company because, his childhood has been taken away, even his teenage years, because his father pushed him into music, even though Michael Jackson was still young and still a child at the time. Jackson has been in headlines of late due to a documentary based on his life, which features two people claiming that the late singer sexually abused them as children. So Michael Jackson was the headlines for so many years or whatever, and because of this fake documentary that's all one-sided, and of course it was based on his life, which features two people claiming that the late singer sexually abused them as children, and we know it's Wade Robson and James Safechuck. Nothing ever happened to them because Michael Jackson never touched them. So this is why the lies are continuing, because Wade Robson and James Safechuck, they're flip-flopping, saying, oh, Michael, at first Wade Robson said, oh, Michael didn't touch me, but then after he passed away, Michael Jackson did, he came out and said, oh, Michael Jackson sexually abused me. No, it never happened, because there was no police report whatsoever. And people always lie, but the truth never lies. The truth is that Michael Jackson never touched them at all. The star, who died in June 2009, had repeatedly denied any wrongdoing prior to his death. Of course, Michael Jackson denied all these allegations. Allegations means that there is no proof. All right, there was none. No proof at all with these allegations. They were all lies made up by Wade Robson and James Safechuck, and they both need to be kicked to jail immediately, because there was nothing going on with Michael Jackson and those two gentlemen, because they lied their asses off, and I'm sorry. But, I get tired of liars saying, oh, well, he did it. No, he never did anything. In 2005, he was acquitted in a child sex abuse case leveled against him in California. So Michael Jackson was acquitted of those charges. In other words, they couldn't find nothing. There was nothing to prove on them, because it was all a lie. And this is why Michael Jackson was found not guilty of any of those charges. And of course, it's just so sad that Wade Robson and James Safechuck, those two are the compulsive liars ever. They never told the truth at all, except one time that Wade Robson told the truth. Oh, Michael didn't touch me. But as soon as he passed away, yep, there goes the lies. And it's just sad that these people who are still asleep don't want to wake up and say, oh, Michael Jackson is innocent. They still think that he did it. No. Everybody who is asleep, you better wake up and realize the real truth, that it never happened. Leave your comments below. I am out.